Hello, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us today. Welcome to the latest in the Japan House London online event series. Today, we are extremely privileged to have with us the eminent designer, Hara Kenya, and it's a curated talk by Hara himself about our current exhibition and the global project, Architecture for Dogs. Just before we start, I would like to let you know of some house rules. Please note that your microphone and webcam will be disabled for the entire duration of the event. Please use the question and answer feature to type your questions for the speaker or hosts at any time throughout the session. And if you do not want your name to be attached to your question, please check the option Send Anonymously. We will gather these questions and ask Hara-san at the end of the session. And please note that the contents of this event will be recorded and may be shared afterwards. Without further ado, let me introduce you to Hara Kenya, who is joining us from Japan. Hara-san, are you able to join us?
Hello.
Hello, Hara-san. Thank you so much for joining us today. Let me give a brief introduction to those who may not know about you yet. You are originally the Chief Creative Director for the whole Japan House project. You are our Creative Advisor for Japan House London. You are the President of the Nippon Design Center, a Professor at Tokyo's Musashino Art University, an Art Director of MUJI, an author of several books, including Designing Japan, Haptic, White, and of course you are the exhibition director of our latest exhibition here at Japan House London, Architecture for Dogs, which has run from the 19th of September until the 10th of January. And today you will be kind enough to discuss with us the development and curation of this very unusual project and exhibition, which first launched in 2012 in Miami. And our exhibition here in London is rather special in that we have also added an extra piece to this exhibition, and the well-known British architect ASIF has given us the benefit of his genius to be able to add something to this exhibition for London. Just to remind everybody that you will be able to ask questions to Hara-san at the end of the session. Hara-san will give a presentation first for about 40 minutes, I think, isn't it? And to let you know that this event is live streaming on YouTube and Facebook, where the recording will be archived later. To aid us, if necessary, we also have the services of Bethan Jones, who will be joining us. Hello, Bethan. Thank you very much.
Hi.
Hello. Bethan will be interpreting if need be, and but Hara-san, you will deliver your presentation in English. Thank you very much indeed. It's much appreciated. Hara-san, thank you.
Welcome. Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm the curator. I'm Kenya Hara. I am the curator and the art director of this special exhibition, Architecture for Dogs. So this exhibition is my favorite one. This exhibition is always growing. In London, we get a very fantastic architect, ASIF Khan. Okay, I'd like to share the visual. Okay, did you see the visual? Okay. Yes. Please see this video. So Architecture for Dogs project is not for dog house, but for architecture for dogs. So the reason why I selected dogs for this exhibition is that this point is very important. I sometimes imagine a new exhibition, architecture for something. Architecture for something, that the same is in the brackets. For example, architecture for sound, or architecture for sleeping, or architecture for swimming, many. But I just to select a dog as a first theme of this project. There are two reasons. The most important one is that dog has a very fantastic variations. The dog breed is very so much wider, but all the variation of dogs is created by human. I was very surprised to hear that, to see this fact. From the very small teacup poodle to the very huge Saint Bernard dogs, the origin of dogs is wolf. From wolf, the human being created many kind of variation of dogs. So it is difficult for the dogs to go back to the wild natures. Do you understand? So the dog's nature is human nature, human circumstances. So that dogs is always living in the human circumstances. And that is the second reason I selected dogs, is this point. The man who lives on the earth knows well about dogs. That is a very important point. Most of the people who live on the earth knows well about dogs. The dogs can be a very huge platform for the communication project. That's very important. This is our first example I created for this exhibition to explain the concept of this exhibition to the architect. So this is the facilities to improve the eye level in between the human and dogs. You understand? I named it D tunnel, dog tunnels. By passing through this tunnel, the eye level of the human and dogs is adjusted. So see this picture. So in the human circumstances, dog is always on the floor, and when his boss is eating something, dog always look up and seeing the back of the table. This is very miserable situation. How do you think? Okay, we should improve this kind of situation. These facilities is to improve that situation. This drawing is very fantastic, I think. So the architect Hiroshi NAITO created this illustration. How about, so when we think the module for dogs, we should improve our circumstances. Okay, I could explain the basic mechanism of this exhibition. So every architecture I show you is so have a blueprint. You can download free. This blueprint is download free, and you can download it easily. And if you want, you can build it by yourself. And after making the architecture for dogs, it is not so difficult, I think, but some architecture is very difficult. So we always provide this kind of 3D pictures to support your construction. And after completed the architecture, you should take a picture and upload it. You can share it. The only one architecture can be created many whole over the world, and we can share it. That is a situation. Please see this video. You can understand the basic situation of active dog. Okay, so you already understand the basic situation of this project. And I selected and make a coupling with the architects and the dogs. So basically, the architect selected dogs by themselves. And this is the kind of the material we create to explain the future of dogs for each architect. So by the help of the breeder, we create this kind of the material for this project. So it's very fantastic, I think. And Creator made their original architecture. This is a works of MVRDV, the Dutch architect group. This is his typical work, the old man house. So they're very fantastic, I think. This is the MVRDV's newest recent works in Rotterdam. And this team create this kind of the very fantastic doghouse. It is rocking, moving. So by using this rope, the dog can change the angle of this house freely and even to move it easily. That is a very important point. How do you think? This is an image sketch of the first trial. So the MVRDV thinking about the many shape and forms about the dog's house. So very interesting, I think. And this is Sejima Kazuyo's typical work. 21st Century Museum in Kanazawa Prefecture, Kanazawa City in Japan. And this is a learning center of the watch company, so in Switzerland. And Sejima Kazuyo selected this kind of dogs and created this kind of dog architecture. So do you think, I think this dog looks like smiling though. So when we take this photography, this dog loves this architecture very much. I think the texture of the fur and the dog house material is similar. Dogs become more familiar dogs become more familiar for the architecture, I think. So this is the blueprints. It is not so easy for the ordinary people to create this one. And after the constructing the bone of the architecture, we should knit it. Yeah. And this is the typical work of FUJIMOTO. This is the real house in Japan called N house. This is Fujimoto's recent work in Montpellier, in France. It looks fantastic. This is Serpentine Gallery Pavilion. So Fujimoto created. And this is his work. I think this structure is very similar to the Serpentine Gallery Pavilion. But this architecture is more earlier than the Serpentine one, I think. This viewpoint is very fantastic. Not only the dog architecture, but also the many. So this is a kind of the shelf. Many things, many ordinary things is putting on this shelf with dogs. That viewpoint is very fantastic, I think. How do you think? And J.C. REISER and Umemoto created this kind of architecture in Taipei, so on. And they created this kind of, is this architecture? But these small dogs, like being in the small spaces, that's the reason why they create this kind of architecture. So, so this architecture is good for the Lady Gaga may like this kind of wear to put to her dogs, I think. How do you think? This is Atelier Bauer's recent works. This is a real house in Japan. And this is their works called Rice Terrace Office. So collaborated with Muji. So Fujimoto created this kind of house for the new worker, the half-time living in the beside of the rice terrace, and half-time in living in the urbanity. So this is a very special architecture. Okay. Atelier Bauer created this kind of architecture. They called this one the dog towers. Its architecture should be stuck. So if we put this kind of architecture in the huge big garden with their dogs, so I think it looks very fantastic. So the point of the eye level is improved, and the communication in between the dog and the human becomes more smooth, I think. This is the works of TORAFU. The TORAFU is a very cute, very fantastic architect to create not only the real scale architecture, but also this kind of the small architecture. This is the vessel of air. How do you think? Very fantastic architecture. And TORAFU selected a Jack Russell Terrier for their dogs. These dogs, Jack Russell Terrier, loves the smell of their boss. So the Jack Russell Terrier sometimes sleeping on the sweater of their boss because the smell of boss makes them very safely, I think. Well, this architecture is very simple and very easy to construct it, I think. I love this idea very much. And this is Shigeru Ban's work. So Shigeru always using the paper tube and the new material for his architecture. In the case of the dog architecture, he used a paper tube also. This is Shigeru's architecture. How do you think? And the KENGO KUMA. This is his architecture built in Beijing, besides the Great Wall. KENGO KUMA loves to use his wood or natural materials for his architecture. This is the opera house built in Dundee, in England. KENGO KUMA selected Pug as his dog and created this kind of the very strange architecture. This architecture is not simple, and I think this architecture is not so much relation with the dog. So dog don't know what is this, but I think so. What the owner of the dogs, if owner can create this kind of architecture in his house, that will be the very good fun for the owner to live with dogs, I think. How do you think? This is blueprint. It is very difficult for the ordinary people to create by themselves. Do it yourself. It's difficult. Very complicated one. In every exhibition, it is a very hard work for me to reconstruct this one, represent this one in each exhibition. But I love this architecture because it creates a very fantastic scene or a fantastic view with the dogs, I think. TOYO the opera house in Tainan. And this is the library TOYO created in Gifu City in Japan. So I collaborate with the signage system with him in this project. And SHIBA, named Momo-chan, is his own dogs. He created the dog architecture for his own dogs, SHIBA. Yeah, so is this an architecture? He said that after Momo-chan becomes more older, the dogs can walk at all in his whole time. So the TOYO want to carry his old dogs by using this kind of cart for the walking around. Momo-chan is very happy dogs, I think. And this is the first sketches of TOYO. I was very surprised to see these sketches. So this is a little bit impossible to be realized. So that's the reason why the final architecture is like this. Okay, Hiroshi NAITO created this kind of wood architecture very much. And Hiroshi NAITO had SPITZ, but he lost one because sick. And his SPITZ, Hiroshi NAITO's dog is a very big trouble with fever at the last time. Mr. NAITO wants to create a dog house to clean up these troubles, to take out the fever, to cool down the SPITZ. This architecture is constructed to cool down the fever of SPITZ. That is his point. Okay. How do you think? And Konstantin GRCIC created this kind. This is his typical work. He is a very famous German product designer, and he choose toy poodle for his as his dog and create this one. So I don't know how the poodle is thinking about this kind of architecture. When I don't know when dogs see his own shapes or styling reflecting the mirror. I don't know, but I think this is a very fantastic facilities to live with this kind of very sophisticated dog. How do you think? And this is my staff, Haruka Misawa, young designer, created this kind of very light and very simple structure, floating on the floor. So she used the vulcanized fiber, very hard and light paper that is hanging from the ceiling, and this is floating on the floor. I think this kind of architecture created a very fantastic scene inside the house with dogs. How do you think? And me, as an art director, I'd like to show the example for the architecture, what kind of architecture we should create. This is my first art works. And you see video, and you can understand how to create this kind of architecture by yourself. My work is very easy to be constructed by all the people. Very easy. One moment, create the real scale model by his own hand. Black dog is named Ohagi. Most tough dogs. Very smart. And if you upload the photos, the website can get this kind of photos and make the albums. And this is the first exhibition that is held in Miami, Design Miami.
Just to let you know, Hara-san, we couldn't hear what you were saying during the video. I don't know if there's anything you wanted to say about the video. Please let us know.
Okay. Okay, by seeing the video, you can understand how easily to be my idea. My architecture is very easy to be constructed, even by the ordinary people. You can understand how to construct it. So this is our first exhibition scene that is held in Miami in USA. Okay. So I already said that who live on the earth knows well about dogs. So the many people can have an interest about this project because it's very easily to be understood. This exhibition moved secondly in the Long Beach Museum in Los Angeles. So Julia Han, my important partner, always help us to create this exhibition. And so this exhibition is invited Long Beach Museum because Julia Han's base town. And moved to China. This is the Shanghai Himalaya Museum. So in every time, so when we moved to the first city, we invited a suitable architect to join this project more. Ma YANSONG, okay. Ma YANSONG, this is Ma YANSONG's work. He was the staff of the Zaha Hadid office, and he is very good at to create this kind of the three-dimensional architecture. And he is just producing the very huge project in China area these days. I invited him and created this kind of, this is only the mat of dogs. But I love this idea very much. So this is the kind of the fantastic, the architecture can create a very unique view in the house. This is this mat created a very fantastic view, I think. And exhibition has moved to São Paulo in Brazil. We get a new guest in São Paulo. The name of the architect group, FGMF. This is their works. And FGMF created this kind of new architecture for dogs there. This structure is very difficult to create, but well thought. And moved, okay, this is the scene. I met ASIF Khan first. So ASIF Khan and I was invited to the talk show in Miami. And we met each other in Miami at the first. And we get a more very similar, very friendly. We became very friendly. The ASIF Khan is very interested in this dogs project very much. And the reason why I selected ASIF Khan in the London exhibition. ASIF created this kind of fantastic architecture in the expo in Dubai this year. And this is his famous unbuilt architecture. That is the Guggenheim Helsinki. I like this architecture very much. The concept is very fantastic, I think. And ASIF selected black dogs for this exhibition. So ASIF created this kind of black architecture with a very special black paint. It's no reflection. So he created a very huge holes in the space. And I asked ASIF, how about creating the black architecture for the black dogs? And he created this kind of architecture. So material is felt, just the same way of producing the hat in England. I love this idea very much. Black architecture with black dogs created a very fantastic view, I think. Please see this video. Okay. So this is my architecture, and I created another, the same idea but another situation, like the bolero music. Okay. Can you hear my voice? Okay. Like a bolero music, I create many architecture with the same themes. So Ohagi, the black dog, is very smart. He can understand my concept very much and very easily to climb it. How about putting this kind of architecture in your house? This architecture and dogs create a very fantastic circumstances in your house. Okay, and I moved this exhibition in Japan House, London. So it's very happy for me we can realize this exhibition is a very fantastic place. Yeah, I love the space of the Japan House very much. This is the entrance. We show there are many small models with a very cute models of white plain dogs. And in the exhibit space, you can see the scale model of architectural dogs. I hope many people enjoy this exhibition and giving us a reaction by seeing this architecture. Besides the exhibit space, this is another space for to try to create new architectural dogs by yourself. So if you have a chance to visit this space, please try to draw the new idea of your origin and post it. Okay, this is my poor English, but you can understand because many visual is there. So So as you already know, architecture of dogs is not for the simple dog house project. So if we consider about more detail and the possibility of architecture with dogs, we can create a more fantastic scene or spaces inside our houses. Okay, thank you for hearing me.
Thank you very much, Hara-san. Thank you. Thank you for taking the time to go through each of these pieces. Extraordinary. Thank you for showing it in London as well. You've already got some photographs of our exhibition here. Thank you very much for showing that.
Okay.
We have some time now for some questions from the people who've been watching. So we've got quite a few. So I think if you don't mind, we'll get some questions for you. We have one question from somebody with no name. Hello, Hara-san. I am interested to know how you chose the original architects to be included in the project.
Ah, okay. I selected a very famous, famous architect because many people know the basic philosophy and the basic attitude of each architect. That you can enjoy more about the final solution. So when people know the basic attitude of architecture, so they can understand more detail about the solution of each architect. That is the reason. I selected a well-known architecture, SHIGERU and MVRDV, so FUJIMOTO, KENGO, KUMA, so on. So basically the Japanese architect, but the Japanese architect created many architecture in abroad. So the Japanese architect becomes more familiar with foreign people. I selected this kind of architecture in this exhibition. Not so young and more cutting edges. So architecture is many, but I selected a well-known architect in this project.
Thank you very much. I mean, I have a question about to follow for that. Why did you choose architects? Is there something special about architects for you?
So when I created another exhibition, architects macaroni, I'm very interested in the structure of macaroni. Why the macaroni shape is like that? So I think there is many complicated reasons. But when I asked the architect to create the macaroni, architects is a very vigorous people to create the research, the macaroni, the construction, and so I was very surprised the basic attitude of the architects. If the graphic designer, so they are already treating this question as a joke. The graphic designer is very good at treating the joke. So the whole solution is a kind of items. We should laugh about that. But the attitude of architecture is very serious every time. So the very serious attitude is very important for this kind of project, I think. If the architecture is going to with a joke, this exhibition is not so interesting, I think. I loved the basic attitude of the architects. They are very serious to so seeking the essence and creating the real solution. That's the reason why I selected architecture.
I see. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We have another question from the audience, from another anonymous attendee. The question is, when you approached the architects, you asked the architects.
Mhm.
How open or how specific was your brief to them?
How open? How?
How open or how specific? Was it an open brief or a very narrow brief?
要するにどれぐらい自由を与えたんですか？なんでどれぐらい自由をそのアーキテクトたちに与えたんですか？何でもやってもいいよでしたか？具体的な指示があったんですか？
そうですね。Basically, the very wider, everything is okay. But I always doing that some kind of like catching and throw like ball in with each architecture with idea. But this project is a little bit difficult, so that it is very difficult to create a final solution fastly. So of course that it is free for every architect to create everything. But as an art director of this exhibition, so I should refuse the bad answers, because we should discuss why this idea is not so good for this exhibition, blah, blah, blah. I should talk with many, with the architecture. Discussion and talk and that is making communication is very important to get a final idea. Of course, free, but it becomes narrow finally.
Of course, yeah, thank you very much. Of course, we were involved in the conversation from the outside between Hara-san and you, Hara-san, and Asif Khan about the new piece. So we were aware of this catch-ball conversation that was happening between you. Very interesting, I think. It's an interesting process. Thank you very much. We have a question here from Erin Dayton. Thank you very much, Erin. So in architecture, an architect often asks for feedback from the client to develop the outcome. Were there many examples of architects testing their designs with dogs? And did the designs change after the dog's positive or negative reactions?
そうね。in the ordinary dog house, the first impression for the even it is an ordinary dog house, a dog has not so much interest about the architecture, but more familiar with the architecture. Dogs understand some goodness about the architecture. Dogs is becoming more familiar with the architecture. After many trials. So, and the dog's boss should teach them how to use it. That is a very important point. So teaching dogs how to use it is very important attitude for the boss of the dogs. The dogs, in every case, dogs don't know how to use the architecture in the first time. But the more familiar with the architecture, dogs know how to use it. But you already see the video of small black poodle, Ohagi, is very smart to know how to use my architecture. So he is no problem to understand how to use it. very smart dogs is very early to understand how to use it. So,
Okay.
Can I answer? So
yeah, I think so. I think so.
Oh.
We have reproduced 5 pieces in Japan House London in the hall, so separate from the exhibition area, and with these 5 pieces, dogs can play, can interact with these 5 pieces, and you can see the clever dogs and the clever bosses, and how the dogs differ with personalities with each piece. It's very obvious. Thank you very much. We have a question here from Shin Egashira. The question is really about your design concepts, Hara-san. Could you speak about your concept of X formation in relation to this project?
So my concept X formation is to make things unknown. So, okay, about the doghouse, people always thinking, oh, doghouse project, oh, the pet industry. Oh, I know doghouse, I know dog architecture. People always saying this kind of viewpoint. But when the audience see this exhibition, if the audience will confuse what the architecture is, I don't know, I can't understand the concept of this exhibition. So that is a good situation, I think. So the confusing is a kind of the good situation to create some interest about the special subject. Or okay, another viewpoint. I know about the concept of the architecture. I'm an architect. But architecture, by seeing the architecture for dogs, the basic impression about the architecture will be a little bit changing, I think. When I create this kind of the changing situation, that is a little bit similar, the concept of the X formation. Not only to create information, but to create a very special situation to make a little bit confuse people. That is very important attitude for the answer creation, I think.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the fantastic question. So,
Yes, indeed. Thank you, Egashira-san. Thank you. We have a question from social media, from somebody listening on social media. How do you think the concept of emptiness is useful in the approach when designing architecture for dogs?
Not so much relation. So, by creating the architectural dogs projects, I don't think about the concept of emptiness. But so this project is not only for the dogs, architecture for something. That something is a bracket in the brackets. That is empty. How do you think about the next exhibition, architecture for something? That is very important. Not only the real architecture, architecture for something. That is a very good situation, I think. Please think, please imagine what kind of object or subject you should put in this bracket.
Okay, thank you very much. We have maybe time for maybe just 2 more questions. So one question, first one, is from an anonymous attendee. Is there any veterinary science behind the designs? And if there is, or if there isn't, would you say it might be something that could be explored or integrated into the architecture?
ベッサンさん、なんて言えばいいの？
これらのアーキテクチャに獣医学が考慮されてるんですか？獣医学。
ああ。
でされていない場合は、そういう面を検討する余地あると思いますか？考えたいと思いますか？
The beginning of this project, I asked the breeder to create the basic material, information about each dogs. So the character of dogs and their sizes and so on. So we create many. Okay, I can see you. This is some material we create to giving this kind of materials to each architect after they selected the dogs. So, but this information is from the scientific viewpoint, but so it is not medical, not the medical viewpoint, I think. So I'm not the specialist of the medical aspect of dogs. So as you say, so we have many spaces to improve the situation more from the viewpoint of the dog's medical situation. But please tell me about the new idea to use the information of the medical aspect of dogs. But I think by showing your dog is this point, that is a kind of the sub-information to treat this project. How do you think?
As this project grows, I can see that there are many possibilities to add layers into this. Thank you very much for your question. Thank you, Hara-san. We have time for just one last question, but just to say, Hara-san, there are lots of people asking for architecture for cats.
Okay,
Cats. Lots of people are asking for architecture.
Yeah, I think I know the most the number one information that is floating on the internet is cat, I think. So I heard that the photo of the cat and the information of the cat, many cat is floating on the internet. But I think the cat is very free. The dog want to be besides a human, but so cat behavior of cats is very freely. The cat don't work with human. The cat goes everywhere as they like. So of course the architecture for a cat is we can available, but I think the dog project is more easy to understand because so we can understand the mind of dogs more than cats, I think. That is the reason I selected the dog. I'm not a dog lover. I love dogs. I like cats and I like dogs, but so if someone wants to create architecture for cats, I'm just expecting to see.
Wonderful, thank you. I think that answers, in a way, our last question in part from Madina Masimova, who said, thank you and hello. Will there be more projects like this? And how can designers get involved? I think you've answered the question by suggesting people do it themselves. Yeah. Do you have any plans to do more architecture for something?
Yeah. So if you have a chance, I try to create architecture for sound is very fantastic. I think sounds. Of course, headset is a kind of the architecture for sounds, but we can create more and more about the new architecture for sounds. I think, or architecture for swimming is interesting. I think the gum tube or a floating mat created by vinyl is a very similar architecture for swimming. But I think we can create a more fantastic architecture for swimming. I think that is a very active exhibition. That will be a very active looking, I think. So only thinking about the possibility of architecture for something is a kind of the architecture of the thought, I think. If I have a chance, of course, I try to progress this theme more. And architecture for dogs is not completed, I think. This is maybe the kind of the beginning. So after 10 or 12 years future, I think the architecture for dog project producing another result.
I hope so. I hope so. Thank you. We're very grateful to ASIF Khan to provide the legacy for the London exhibition. So we'd like to see many more in the future. Thank you so much. I think that's all we have time for today from the questions and from your talk. Hara-san, thank you so much for having spent some time with us today. I'm sorry that you were not able to visit us in London to give this lecture directly, but we're very grateful that you've participated online directly from Japan. Thank you very much indeed. Thank you, Bethan, as well. Thank you for being there. Forgive me before we leave. I will just run through a couple of things coming up related to architecture for dogs, just so that people know. You can take part online for Architecture for Dogs, as Hara-san has mentioned, but the exhibition itself is at Japan House London until the 10th of January. Please book your place. You can design your own architecture for dogs as well. We are also looking for a designer of the week every week, which will be posted on social media as well. So please do join in. We also have the 5 pieces I mentioned, which have been reproduced, which are in the hall in Japan House, where lots of dogs have been coming to interact with the pieces. It's made everybody smile. This is also until the 10th of January. We also have a roadshow whereby these pieces that we have in the hall will go outside to various dog walking places in London, various venues coming up. One of them on the next one is the 25th of October at the Horniman Museum and Gardens. It's free to drop in, bring your dog, and you can join in this wonderful architecture. Thank you very much. A couple of things at Japan House London coming up on Tuesday, the 6th of October. We have a studio tour, workshop visit and conversation with Gyokusendo in Tsubame-sanjo in Niigata Prefecture. That's for London Craft Week on the 6th of October. And then we also have a studio visit and conversation with Takahashi Hiroko, the textile artist from Sumida in Tokyo. And that's on Thursday, the 8th of October. And that's also with London Craft Week. Thank you very much. again, Hara-san. It has been a great pleasure to see you again. We look forward to seeing you again soon. Thank you so much. Thank you again, Bethan.
Thank you very much, Simon. So, yeah, thank you, Bethan-san. So, I'd like to see you again soon.
Yes, in
Okay,
person.
please enjoy this exhibition, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you
Bye.
very much. Thanks very much, everybody. Thanks for joining us today. Bye-bye. Stay safe. Thank you very much.